Track 3.1, Unit 3, Listening 1.
Hey, Frankie, what are you doing?
Oh, hi, Steve. Hi, Anna. I'm just trying out one of those brain training apps. It's supposed to make you more intelligent and improve your memory and focus. At least, that's what the company's ads claim.
Oh, I tried some of those games. They're really fun.
They may be fun, but there's no evidence they make you more intelligent. We actually talked about this exact topic in my neuroscience class last week. The companies that sell these apps have done hundreds of studies to try to prove that their products really work, but a team of psychologists from the University of Illinois reviewed the studies, and they identified some big problems with the research.
What kind of problems?
Okay, well, in the first place, the psychologists disagree with the claim that the brain training games affect intelligence. Dr. Warner of the Mayweather Institute said that playing the games a lot seems to make you better at those games, but the improvement doesn't appear to transfer to real-life contexts.
What does that mean?
Like, for example, the studies couldn't prove that playing word games helped older people remember to take their medicine every day.
Wait a minute, Steve. I think you're only telling one side of the story. First of all, there's a pretty big group of researchers who claim brain training does work. One website published a list of 132 studies showing that brain training can improve brain function. Moreover, the website included a report signed by more than 100 scientists, so I believe it must be true.
Yeah, I know about that website too, but in my opinion, most of those studies were poorly designed. Some of them only tested 20 people. That's not a big enough sample to show clear results. Another study had one group using the brain training app and another group watching DVDs. I don't believe that's a fair test. Of course, the group using the app showed more improvement.
You know, my aunt signed up for one of those brain training courses, and she is certain the exercises have helped her be sharper, more focused.
That may be true, Frankie, but as one of my psychology professors always says, one person's anecdotal experience isn't proof that something works.
Can I just jump back in here? Even if all your criticisms are true, I would argue that brain training has the potential to make our brains work better. In a recent interview with Future Tech, Mark Vanderberg said, "Brain training companies are working with some of the best scientists in the world, and I'm convinced that sooner or later they're going to develop tasks that really do make people smarter." I think he's right. It's only a matter of time.
Well, I agree with you there. I think the potential for brain training to make us smarter is really exciting. What bothers me is that today, the companies marketing the brain games generate revenues of over $25 million a year for products that don't deliver what they promise. I believe that's dishonest.
Right. So, let me ask you something. If you're right, and brain training games don't work, then what does? I'd love to find an easy way to improve my memory and concentration.
I've read a lot of research supporting the value of regular physical exercise as a way of improving brain function.
What? Like jogging?
Yeah.
And the other thing that's helpful is mastering new concepts and skills. You don't have to pay a lot of money for a brain training course. You can sign up for a language class or take piano lessons. Anyway, enjoy your game, Frankie. I've got to get to class.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. See you later.
Track 3.2, Unit 3, Listening 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're talking about the impact of Internet use on our ability to form and store memories. Now, this is an extremely important issue because, according to research by the Peterson Institute in New York, 73% of U.S. teens and 91% of U.S. adults reported going online every day. Let me rephrase that. 73% of U.S. adults and 91% of U.S. teens reported going online every day. Moreover, a significant percentage of people 21% of adults and 24% of teens said they were connected almost constantly. Scientists are very interested in finding out what effect all this internet use is having on our brains. To begin, let's review some very basic information about how human memory works. As this simple chart shows, there are two types of memory: short-term memory, which is also named working memory, and long-term memory. Basically, information enters short-term memory and is stored there, briefly, before being transferred to long-term memory for permanent storage. However, and this is extremely important, this transfer only happens if we're paying attention. In other words, we have to focus on the information and, even better, process it in some way. For example, by repeating it. The other thing you need to know about short-term memory is that it has a very limited capacity. To be precise, most people can only remember about 7 items for a period of 10 to 15 seconds. If we have too much information coming at us too fast, which is what happens all the time when we're online, the result is a condition named cognitive overload. This happens when our working memory is unable to keep up with the amount of new information entering it, meaning that our ability to process information, to move it from short-term to long-term memory, begins to fail. Now, there are 2 characteristics of the World Wide Web that have the potential to create cognitive overload. The first is hyperlinks. Those blue underlined words and phrases that take you to another web page when you click on them. However, contemporary research shows that hyperlinks actually interfere with attention, even if we don't click on them. That has certainly happened to me. Okay, now, the second problem with the online environment is the design of most web pages. In addition to hyperlinks, most websites are full of ads, photos, music clips, and flashing images. Because all of this information is coming in at the same time, it creates enormous cognitive overload. So, what does all this mean for you and for students all over the world? After all, yes? Do you have something to add?
Yes, thanks. I understand what you're saying about the negative impact of the internet on memory, but I would argue that the internet also benefits short-term memory because we don't have to remember so many facts anymore. We can just look them up. Doesn't that free up our short-term memory and reduce cognitive overload?
Well, that's an interesting observation. You're right that we don't need to remember certain kinds of information anymore because we can either find it easily online or store it on a mobile device. For example, when was the last time any of you tried to memorize someone's cell phone number? Or actually remembered a fact instead of just looking it up?
Never.
Right, because you don't have to. However, this doesn't contradict my main argument that technology use can hurt the brain's ability to form and store memories. For your memory to work most efficiently, you really should get into the habit of turning off notifications while you're studying. And if you have the option to read text-only versions of articles online, you should definitely choose that option.
Track 3. Track 3.3, Unit 3, Critical Thinking. 1.
Okay. Well, in the first place, the psychologists disagree with the claim that the brain training games affect intelligence. Dr. Warner of the Mayweather Institute said that playing the games a lot seems to make you better at those games, but the improvement doesn't appear to transfer to real-life contexts.
2.
Wait a minute, Steve. I think you're only telling one side of the story. First of all, there's a pretty big group of researchers who claim brain training does work. One website published a list of 132 studies showing that brain training can improve brain function. Moreover, the website included a report signed by more than 100 scientists, so I believe it must be true.
Track 3.4. Unit 3. Speaking skill. 1.
A professor at Stanford University, Clifford Nass, says that listening to music with words can interfere with a person's ability to focus on reading and writing tasks.
On the other hand, lots of studies have shown that listening to classical music can help boost concentration.
2.
I think students take better lecture notes when they use a laptop instead of writing by hand.
There's no evidence to support that idea. In fact, the sources I've read say that students remember information better if they take notes by hand.
3.
Online courses are super convenient, don't you agree?
That may be true, but I think face-to-face courses are a lot more interesting.
4.
This article says that lost or damaged brain cells aren't replaced in adults.
That research is way out of date. Scientists have known for a long time that some parts of the brain can continue to produce new cells even into old age.
5.
Kids are spending too much time playing games online. It's a waste of time.
I disagree. Studies have shown that online games can increase teamwork among children and promote creativity.
Track 3.5. Unit 3. Pronunciation for speaking.
Okay, well, in the first place, the psychologists disagree with the claim that the brain training games affect intelligence. Dr. Warner of the Mayweather Institute said that playing the games a lot seems to make you better at those games, but the improvement doesn't appear to transfer to real-life contexts.
What does that mean?
Like, for example, the studies couldn't prove that playing word games helped older people remember to take their medicine every day.
Wait a minute, Steve. I think you're only telling one side of the story. First of all, there's a pretty big group of researchers who claim brain training does work. One website published a list of 132 studies showing that brain training can improve brain function. Moreover, the website included a report signed by more than 100 scientists, so I believe it must be true.
Track 3.6. Unit 3. Pronunciation for speaking. 1.
These statistics aren't correct. The numbers are too large.
They are correct. I reviewed them myself, and I'm sure they're right.
2.
We don't need to remember numbers anymore because we can store them on our cell phones.
I think we do need to remember them. What if you lose your cell phone?
3.
Taking notes by hand is inefficient because we can't write everything.
Researchers say that's a good thing because it forces you to think about what you choose to write.
4.
It's not good for young children to learn 2 languages at the same time. It confuses them.
It doesn't confuse them. In fact, it makes them smarter.